we are 6 points behind Aston Villa now with 2 games in hand. Those 2 games in hand, Chelsea away and Man City at home, I believe. Aston Villa do have easier fixtures, but they do have hard fixtures as well. Ash, is our season over essentially right now, or do you still believe that top 4 is still a target?
I think I heard Madison say after a post-match interview, he was like, I heard what Ange said, it's about 4th. He doesn't value 4th or whatever it is. But he said, listen, I want Champions League football. So I think the players, if one of your vice captains are coming out and saying that on public platforms, whatever, social platforms, that tells you where the players' heads are at. They're going to try and push all the way to the end of the season. I think Ange, what he was saying, like, he wants to finish as high as possible. He doesn't want 4th to be our end and be all, if that makes sense. So some people are misinterpreting to say like, oh, he's given up on the season already. I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying we need to finish as high as possible, and 4th can't be this club's goalpost anymore. We need to be starting to push an edge higher. But I think in terms of what I think will happen, I think our front 3 at the moment isn't strong enough to get us over that kind of line where we want to be in that kind of, well, not we, I say some fans want to be in that Champions League, you know, position. I just think I look at Aston Villa, and I just think they're just further into their builds, and you know, a lot of fans are complaining about, you know, adaptability, tweaking, changing it for each game. That's one thing I think Emery has done well. I think Emery does change in-game as well, like in-game changes. He's able to do that. I know we smashed them 4-0, and so that probably goes against what I'm saying, because I'm just trying to, you know, install the philosophy. No matter who we're playing, he's trying to get the philosophy first before he starts, you know, moving things around and tweaking things here and there. But for that reason, as I said before, Villa are further in their building. You could just see by the quality of their players up top. Like, football's not hard. They've got Diaby. They've got Bailey. Bailey's on form. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, look at Watkins. Watkins, the number of assists and goals are in the double-digit figures. So when you've got a front 3 like that, and Zaniolo's coming on, he's not like setting the light around fire, but he's still like helping them towards where they need to be. And then you look at our front 3, and they're all kind of like, I would say they're not living up to the levels of maybe, like, say, if you compare it to a Man City, an Arsenal, or even a Liverpool, our front 3 is not at that quite level. They're a bit more inconsistent. Like, we didn't have a reply for a Newcastle who were out of form and had a patchwork team put together. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially their defense. That's something we could have got at, and we didn't take advantage of that. And that's not the only game as well. We've seen like there's other results like Fulham, where we should be hurting those teams that you expect us to win against, and you need our front 3 to kind of get us over the line. They haven't really turned up in those because it'll be different. Like, I don't mind. Let me use my words carefully. I do mind losing, but I want to go with a fight, if that makes sense. I don't want to just get punched up, like, you know what I'm saying, every week, getting punched up, getting moved to. I want certain times to leave a mark on my opponent. I want to see my opponent get roughed up as well. So they're like, raw, you know what? We beat them, but did we deserve it? Do you know what I'm saying? And certain times that front 3, and I hate to use these colloquial words like moments, like when you do have those small opportunities in a game, you need to take it. You need to be ruthless. You need to say no retreat, no surrender. Do Spurs have that in them at the moment in this season? I haven't personally seen that. Do you know what I'm saying? As I said before, a lot of our players have been underperforming. We may need a game like this to kind of push us back up, where we can get to that level where we, you know, take the Arsenal out, we take the Chelsea out, we take the Liverpool out, we take a City out, but it is a tall order. The players will be up for it. Don't ever get it twisted, because that's where they play football for these type of occasions, for the big moments. They want the Champions League football. So the motivation intrinsically is definitely there. Whether they can do it in those moments is a different question altogether. And that's where my head is at the moment. I think 5th is like, if you ask me, like, if we're going to get Europa and fifth at the start of the season, I would say that's a good season. But the problem is, it's the way it's capitulated. Like, we started so well and then we tailed off. It'll be different if we didn't start well and then we saw the progression. Then we could like, oh, we could see it's working now. The philosophy is that it's kind of mad. Like, it's going the other way around. And now it's like we're questioning it at the wrong time. You kind of want to see your team have green spouts, you know, like you want to see progression going, not like, but at the same time, and I always contradict myself. Listen, I don't mind if we stink it up a little bit, because Ange needs to see. He has to learn. He has to learn the weaknesses of his team. He has to learn the weaknesses and the mentality. Who has the mentality? Who doesn't? Who can do it in those moments? And who doesn't want to play for him next season? Like, who doesn't want to fight for the cause? Who doesn't want to, like, this is a massive project what we're in at the moment. He's trying to get Spurs to win their first trophy in how long? Do you know what I mean? Any manager coming to do that, it's a tall order. But he needs real quality. He's not going to be able, in my opinion, he's not going to be able to do like where he's able to do with other clubs. He's able to, you know, do a little, you know, sprinkle here, sprinkle there. Nah, this is a different league. And these managers that he's up against, bro, they're on this thing. That's all I'm going to say. They're on it.
Yeah. Brian, where you at? Do you think the season's over?
Mate, I've been saying, look, I was on the show last week with you when Simeon asked if we had two buttons when I was speaking about the Champions League and Europa League.
Shouldn't have mentioned that. Sim's got another two-button question for you right now, if you really want it.
I asked him the same question I asked you, and you both had the same answer afterwards. But our season's been over for a little while for Champions League, whatever. But until yesterday, I thought we had nothing to play for. Absolutely nothing. Until Spurs tweeted that we have the historic, record-breaking and iconic different amount of Premier League players to score for Tottenham Hotspur. We hold the record at 171. So my old game for this season is to win the trophy and get 172 and Bissouma to score a goal. That's what we got to play for. That historic, iconic, dream-making, multiple different goal score. I mean, why they tweeted that yesterday of all times is beyond me. Listen, I've said for a while I don't think we're good enough for Champions League. People were saying we got a game in hand, and if we win that game in hand, people forget it's away at Chelsea, where Gary Lineker and Dele Alli are the only two players to score winning goals in the league in 30-odd years. We've also got to go away to Liverpool, where, let's just say, the record is shambolic. Got to play the filth, got to play, man. I just can't. Once it's done, if anyone thought we were getting fourth, and they still think that after Newcastle, and even more to the point, even getting fourth, we haven't been able to play one game a week. We've been exposed. I don't understand what this fascination is for fourth just before it gets to Champions League. I said it very openly on the show last week. The season for me is finished. Just get to the end. But most importantly, like I said, let's get Bissouma to extend that lead at the top of the Premier League and multiple goal scoring, because that is something I dreamt of as a kid. It's what I've always wanted.
The glory.
As I said, strikers win your games, defences win your titles, and multiple goal scorers in the Premier League will win you precisely nothing. What do they used to say at the stadium with the video? Glory past, glory present, where it is. Dream dare do. Well, we're dreaming, we're daring, we're doing. We should win. The greenest team in the Premier League is on the way, and the electrical open-top bus is already at a docking station being charged up, ready for the parade.
Brian, we should replace the whole 11 next season just so we can extend our lead whenever someone scores.
Mate, there you go. Play the youth. Play them all. Play them all. Play them all, and let's just extend the leads that we do have.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think top four is dead. I've made it clear that I'm not really that fussed if we were to get Champions League or not anyway. What it is for me from now to the end of the season, just stop Arsenal win the league. I think that's what it's about. And if we finish fifth at the end of the day, I think we could all agree at this, like Ash said at the start of the season, it would have been a really good season to finish fifth. I think we have shown signs of progression this season, a completely new 11, Harry Kane leaving, new system, new manager, new everything. So I think there are a lot of good things to take away from this season. But I just think Villa have been better than us this season, and you've got to hold your hands up and accept that. Ollie Watkins, in my opinion, has probably been the best player in the Premier League this season. He should win Player of the Year. And with what Villa have been doing with Conference League and Premier League and still be 6 points ahead of us, we do have 2 games in hand, but it's 2 very difficult games. I just feel like they deserve fourth. If we do finish fourth by the end of the season, then I'll take my hands off and say well done to Ange, and Villa would have probably bottled it at that stage. But look, I think the season's been over for a couple of weeks now, and fighting for top 4 just doesn't excite me as it used to be fair. And I think a couple of years ago it probably excited us a bit more because we were going against Arsenal for top 4 and it just meant a bit more. But I just don't get excited for fighting for top 4 anymore. And if we get top 4, great. But it's not the be-all and end-all for me. And finishing fifth and being in a tournament that we can actually win next season, I see a lot of values in that next season. So as much as the season's over, in my opinion, I don't look at that as a disastrous thing. I just look at that as where we were last season, where we are now. We have shown progression, and it's just where we're at as a football club. And if we don't finish top 4, we're clearly not good enough to be in the top 4, and that's all right now. We're at the beginning of a project and a beginning of a new phase at Tottenham Hotspur. So it's just where we're at the moment. Where are you at with it?
I don't think it's over yet. We're still 6 points behind with 2 games in hand. So it's in our hands. Yes, we have difficult games, of course. We have the hardest run you could probably think of. But that is usually where Spurs surprised a few people in years gone by and in previous top 4 battles when it all seems done and all seems lost. That's when we can turn up and surprise a few people. So I'm not ruling out just yet. I have to give Villa credit because I did have them to drop points on the weekend, and I thought 120 minutes against Lille on Thursday, a tough game at home to Bournemouth where their home form hasn't been so good, and Bournemouth have been in very good form, and also at half time, Bournemouth were probably the better team. I was like, okay, looks like Villa could be dropping points here, but to be fair, they were stellar in that second half, really turned up and won the game 3-1 and convincingly so. So got to give them credit, and they beat Arsenal away from home as well. So if they're going to keep up that kind of form, of course, it's going to be very difficult to get that top 4. I don't think we're going to get there. And at the moment, given that they've won their last 2 and our last game was Newcastle, doesn't look good. What I would say is if they do beat Chelsea on the weekend, they'll be 9 points clear, even though we'll have 3 games in hand, but they'll be 9 points clear of us. I think if it gets to that situation, that's getting close to insurmountable, I would say, at that point, even with 3 games in hand. I would say 6 with 2 games in hand is not insurmountable completely. I would still say if they drop points to Chelsea, we still got chances. We still got Burnley and Sheffield United to come. If we can get some points in these really difficult games, it's not completely gone, in my opinion. We're unbeaten against the top 3 so far this season. We did beat Liverpool. We got 2 draws away from them, and you got to take into account we've got very good home form. 8 of our last 9 games at home, we've won. I do think our home form is very important, and I think I can see us turning up for these home games, in my opinion. So I don't think it's completely gone by any stretch, but it's close there.
How many points do you think we need?
How many points I think we need? So Villa on 66, probably at least 10. I would say, maybe 12.
Where are those 10 points coming from?
Yeah, so 6 against Sheffield United and Burnley.
Yeah.
And then you need to find 4 points from the 3 hard games in Chelsea away. I don't think it's completely impossible we get 4 points out of those 4 games. I don't think that's completely deluded to think we can get 4 points out of those games.
So that means Villa won't pick up more than 4 points from now to the end of the season, plus we need to gain the goal difference on them.
Yeah.
The brotherly look there, just
why? Villa are a very good team, but they got tough fixtures as well. I've seen them bottle games in the previous weeks. I know they've done really well to win the last 2. give them credit. They still got Conference League. They got a semi-final. They've got a cup final after the season as well. So that maybe they'll pick up some injuries. Maybe they'll get distracted. I don't think it's completely beyond the realms of possibility they take their off the ball a bit in the league. Fair play to them. I got to give them all the credit. They've won their last 2 games, and I didn't think they would. And I got to give them credit for that. That doesn't mean they're going to continue to win games. In my opinion, they got to keep up.
The one thing I will say that we got to remember when it comes to Villa, this is Unai Emery, who knows how to juggle European competition and league.
On the contrary, Brian, he continually fails to juggle both, I would say.
He's doing it now.
He's doing it now, but in years gone by, he has struggled to do so.
But he will win a competition, which is, listen, I think Villa are going to go on and win that competition. I think he's got a better squad than he's had at his other teams that he's been in. And I think he'll guarantee, or he will get Villa full spot. And as much as I love your optimism, Sim, and it's always good to get a dose of Sim optimism, you should bottle it and sell it. I just can't see it. I never said
it's likely. I'm just saying it's not dead. I don't think it's dead at all. Like the fact is, it's in our hands. Well, how can you say it's dead when it's in our hands? So, in my opinion, until it's not in our hands and we're completely out of it, then I'm not going to say it's dead. And we've got, as I said, we step up against big teams. We've done it before. So why can't we spring a few surprises? I wouldn't rule it out. Everyone's on a downer because we lost 4-0 to Newcastle. I get it, but our home form is very good. We've got some very important home games coming up. So if we can win some important home games, why rule it out?
Yeah, the thing is, look, we might surprise a few teams, but I just don't see Villa only getting 4 points. That's where my issue is. I think that's doing a disservice to Villa. Like there's one thing, Villa not performing 1 or 2 games, but to completely capitulate, I'll be very shocked.
Well, they got 4 games, Ash. They got 4 games. They got Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Liverpool at home, and Palace away. How many points is that?
6. I see 6 points there. I think that I look at their front line. I know I was focused on their front line so much, and I focus on our front line. I just think we're more likely to kind of maybe not get those results compared to what they do. It's hard. Like we could obviously go to Sheffield United. We could go to Sheffield United. They've got nothing to play for. They're really relegated.
It's kind of like
Spurs, bro. I've seen it before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm being real. I've seen us like the last game of the season. Spurs to win, to get into Champions League against Sheffield United, and then all of a sudden Sheffield United just start telling up.
Yeah, but I've seen it before against Norwich as well. They had nothing to play for. We battered them 5-0. Last game we needed to win to get top 4, and we got the job done. We could also do it. I think there's a very good more of a chance we do it than don't do it. I would argue.
Sim or Ben, I'll say, because you've got your computers in front of you, obviously. How do the fixtures work out is it like when we were playing Leicester, when we continuously went second and knew what we had to do? Are they always playing before us, or are we playing before them anytime?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like
let me see. So I think on the weekend they go first. So we're going to have 3 games in hand. We're going to have 3 games in hand by the time we play Arsenal.
Okay.
Then obviously we have one of our game in hand will be in midweek against Chelsea. The following week we both play on. The following week, we both play on Sunday. They go first on 2:00, and then we play 4:30 against Liverpool. The following week, we play Burnley at 3, and then they play Liverpool on Monday. So we go first that week, and then obviously we've got the game in hand, another game in hand the following midweek at home to City, and then obviously everyone plays at the same time on the last day against Sheffield. What I would say is I can see Villa definitely dropping points in their running. It's more whether we can take advantage of it, for me, is going to be the big thing.
So I hate games in hand. That's my one thing. I would prefer to have the points. I'm not gonna lie
Of
to you.
course, no, for sure. I'd much rather be in Villa's position, considering the games we have. I'd much rather be in Villa's position. But I just think I know they coped really well in the last round against Lille with juggling Europe and Premier League. But it's about consistently doing it. It's not about just doing it once. You need to consistently do it. Whether they can cope with Olympiacos and the games, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they can, and credit to them if they do. But I just remember they got Chelsea next. Chelsea battered them in the FA Cup. I remember 3-0. That was a really comprehensive victory. Brighton away. Brighton's a tough game. They've only lost two home games this season. Brighton, so no guarantees they go there and win. Liverpool's Liverpool, and then Glasner's really turning it around for Palace, and they might have a cup final after that, just before the final day of the season. So that's not an easy game as well. Obviously, we've got the top three, so none of our games are easy. I'm just saying, there's no guarantee that they go and win all their games. That's for sure.
It'd be interesting if they need to win that Palace game to get top four, and they've got the cup final after that. Which one do you reckon they prioritise? Because obviously top four gets you Champions League, but winning that competition only gets you Europa League. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see which way they go with that.
Yeah, be very interesting. So I think it depends more on us than on Villa. I'm pretty certain that Villa will drop enough points for us to nick it. It's just whether we take advantage of it, in my opinion. Well, it's obviously on us because currently we have the games in hand, so it is on us.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have faith in the team at the moment to pick up enough points from the teams that we've got left. I just don't. Especially when you're looking at Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal all fighting for the title.
I think personally.
But these are as well, when you're fighting for the title, that's when the pressure's on as well. And that's where we could take advantage of that. You see, how many times have you seen teams in the title race slip up? You know what I mean? It happens all the time.
Basically, what we will do is we will win games you won't expect us to win. And then we'll get in a position where
we'll lose to Burnley and Sheffield United, and beat Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City.
Yeah, that would be classic Spurs. That would be classic Spurs.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh man, this team. So yeah,
you can actually see it though, can't you? You can actually see that happening.
Also, right now, no one expects us to get top four now because Villa have gone on a good run. We just lost, so the pressure's off in a way because no one really expects us to do anything, and that's where Tottenham as well thrive when the pressure's off a bit.
Yes, when the
so for me, it ain't dead yet.
All right, well, let's go around the room and see if we really think it's dead. Brian, yes or no? Are we making it?
100% dead. Dead.
Ash?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Simba, I just want yes or no.
Yeah, we're making it.
I'm saying no, 100% no.